What's going on, guys? It's Tego White here for Team Cardfighters United. Today, bringing you a new post-Set 8 Rorowa deck profile. And it's been a minute since we've done anything, and we've also never done anything for Standard before, at least not D Standard. So I know this is going to be a little bit different, having to get used to it. But I love Rorowa so much. It is such a good deck. Honestly, it might not only my favorite deck in D, it might be my favorite deck in Vanguard, which is really weird since I've never been like really a Neo Nectar player. But let's just go ahead and get right into it because I am very proud of this deck build. So obviously, starter, ignore how shiny these cards are and how much money I've spent on this deck. We don't gotta talk about it. But the starter, obviously, same as always. If you ride it when you go second, draw a card. Grade 1 Rorowa says whenever you ride it onto the grade 0, you get to create a plant token, and it goes into your back row center. So it's really good for just making this where they can't just drop a 15k shield and no pass it. It's actually still a 1 to pass if they just drop like a crit or something, which has mattered so many times. And then whenever you ride the grade 2, on top of that one, you kill anything, which is probably going to be the back row center plant token. And then you get to make 2 more plant tokens, which you're probably going to call to the rears on the side. And then that's just a free column over there, which is super nice. It honestly is part of the reason that Rorowa is one of the best rush decks in the game right now. Like, a lot of people give it a lot of hate and say that it's not very good, but it is extremely rushy, especially with its glitter grade 2, which we'll get into that momentarily. Let's go ahead and take a look at the main grade 3. For One's Precious Thing Rorowa, it has an act once per turn, just soul blast 1, make 3 plant tokens. Sweet, simple, it's okay. And then second skill, whenever he's attacked, you can kill 1 or more of your token units, give him +5 until the end of the battle for each one you retire. Honestly, like, Rorowa himself doesn't do a ton. His most important part is probably the token generation. The extra little bit of defense helps you survive because your hand is honestly pretty abysmal. But it's really fine. It doesn't ever really come up like absurdly much about your hand being too small, especially because of the fact that you actually get to use your plant tokens as shield. And then also, we do have 4 of it, because Persona Ride is obnoxiously important in most decks. This one is not an exception to that rule. So we are running 4 of your main grade 3 Rorowa. And now we're going to go ahead and look at the glitter that came out with it. So, glitter units, basically, there's like some storyline going on with them. I'm planning on reading it at some point, I just haven't yet. But what they do basically is they're units that are technically dual nation. So like this one is Dragon Empire and Storkea. But they only get their full effect when you use them with their respective glitter boss. With Redolina, it's Rorowa. So Redolina's normal effect is, if you don't have a Momoke token, CB1 and get one. Momoke is this nice little homie right here. Probably the most important thing in the entire deck is this little friend. We'll talk about what he says in a second, but her skill, when you have Rorowa specifically, is that whenever she attacks, you can soul blast 1, pick one of your token units in the same column as her, and she gets the power of that unit until the end of the battle, which is extremely useful because of what this little guy over here does. So, act once per turn, you can retire 1 or more of your rear guards, and it gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn for each unit retired for the cost. So, what's usually going to happen is Rorowa is going to make 3 plant tokens, Momoke is going to kill said 3 plant tokens, and then he's going to be a base 20k. And it's like, okay, a 20k booster is not bad. And then with Redolina's skill, it's technically makes like a 50k column. Okay, yeah, that's pretty nice, pretty nice. But the main thing about it is glitter with Rorowa. If you have a unit with Redolina in the same card name in the same column as this unit, it can attack from the back row. So now all of a sudden Rorowa has been pushed to a 4 attack deck, and attacks are extremely hard to come by in D. Like, it's like an extra attack in V was nowhere near as good as it is in D. Like, they matter so much because of the limited hand size. So now you have this little fat guy swinging from the back, and then Redolina now gets to swing as if she was boosted by him, as long as you Soul Blast 1. So now you'll have like a 20k swing and then a 30k swing for the cost of a Soul Blast, and a few rear guards that you made with a different Soul Blast. So there's a little bit of a soul issue in the deck, but there's several cards that can help fix it. But yeah, so Redolina is super good, and these came out in BT05, but then we just got a new Redolina in BT08 that is also very important. You're going to be running 4 of it also. And this Redolina is grade 3. And she says at the beginning of your main phase, if you don't have a Momoke, you can call Momoke. So that doesn't come up very often, I will be honest. The second part is important. from your hand when she's glittered with Rorowa, which just means you have Rorowa glitter. At the end of the battle, Redolina attacks. If your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, you retire a rearguard with Redolina its card name and a rearguard with Momoke in its card name. Call this card to rearguard, and that unit's power is increased by the power of the Momoke that was retired for the ability's cost. So you have that 20k Momoke token. You swing with it for 20. Swing with Redolina, Soul Blast for 30. Then kill both of them, call this, swing again for 33. Like, that's really nice. All that swinging you're doing in just that one column. And it's not really costing you much. It's mostly rear guards that you're retiring. Is like that way you pay your cost for things. Which is a very like Musketeer-esque thing, which is probably kind of what he's based on. But because of that, this deck can get really aggro really quickly. Like the Redolina grade 2, like on that turn we're talking about where you ride your grade 2 and you have 2 plant tokens in the other column, you just call out Redolina, make your Momoke token, kill those 2. Momoke's 15 now. You can either call something else to that side rear guard for an extra swing. There's a couple ways to like make some plant tokens or something so you can swing from over there, which is just, it's really nice and very helpful for actually making a really good early push. Like, it is not uncommon as a Rorowa player to either whittle them down to very few cards in hand at the very beginning of the game, or go ahead and push them to 3+ early, which is super nice in the meta right now. A lot of the good decks are not quite as built for handling Rush. So yeah, this card, very important. The only issue with Rorowa is that if you don't have Redolina, you don't do anything, which is where our promo came in, because obviously you can't have a D-deck without a promo that makes it go. So basically, this does 2 things. If you have a Rorowa Vanguard, you can play it with CB1, kill a unit. And it's a set order, and when it goes into the order zone, you search for up to 1 card Redolina, put in your hand. So you can either grab the grade 2 or the grade 3, depending on which one you have. If you don't have either, the grade 2 is almost always the correct option. And then afterwards, because it's a set order, it stays in the order zone and gives all token units in the back row 5k. So now Momoke is getting a permanent 5k buff to make him just a little bit bigger, which does stack up over time. The other positive about this is now if you start leaving any tokens in your back row after calling them with Rorowa, those tokens are now 10k boosters, which will slowly start to add up, especially if you end up getting like 2 of these. I've never gotten more than 2, because you're Rorowa, you're not playing the long game. If you're having to get like 2 of these, and then your tokens are 15k boosters in the back row, like your numbers are pretty atrocious and very hard to deal with. So basically, because of the way that works, because your deck doesn't work without Redolina, you're almost running 12 of it, which is very, very necessary. It makes the space in the rest of the deck a little funky, because you don't really have room to run a ton of things, but there's a couple things we can do to make up for that. One of them is a singular copy of Inlet Pulse. Inlet Pulse is a very expensive, but good in any Stoicheia deck that gets 4 attacks or more. And honestly, it's mostly for the soul. I won't lie. Like, the draw definitely helps because you can draw into a piece for next turn, but the main reason you do run him is for the soul. So you call him out, he's a decent 13k swing, he can hit something by himself. On Persona right turn, he's a 15k guard. If you happen to have a token behind him on Persona right turn, he's 33, he's a 25k guard, which is just really nice. He goes to soul, draws you a card. Now, there's another card that just came out in D-BT08 for Rorowa specifically, that is basically Inlet for Rorowa. And what this card does is at the end of the turn, if your Vanguard's glitter, put it into your soul, call 2 plant tokens to rearguard. So the reason that I run more of this than Inlet is because with Inlet, you're getting an extra card, which is going to be anything from a grade 3 with no shield, or an order with no shield, which there are plenty of in this deck, or maybe a 5k to a trigger where you get like 15. So like it's very iffy on what you're getting shield-wise. Versus Full-Blown Dragon, which you're running at 2, that is guaranteed making you 2 plant tokens, and as long as you're not fighting something that retires a bunch or something with a lot of control, you're getting 10k shield guaranteed. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts, there's no like gamble there, you're getting 10k shield because Rorowa can kill each of those for 5k whenever he's attacked. So it's kind of a trade-off there. But it's also giving you soul, just like Inlet, so that you'll have more soul to either make your plant tokens or make Redolina bigger. Both of those are very important. This deck is obnoxiously soul reliant. Without a soul, it doesn't really go. Especially because we just got another new card in set 8 that also relies on having soul. To the Shining Stage. Don't ask me why Rorowa's a woman now. Look, it's not my business. But whenever you play it, it's just soul +1, as long as you have Rorowa, and you pick a card with the same grade or less than your Vanguard from your drop, called a rearguard. And then if you have a rearguard with Redolina after you do that, you can make a plant token for free. So you're soul busting one and getting 2 units on the board, which is really nice, especially if they've been rearguard hating your Redolinas, which they absolutely will if they know how the deck works. If they know how to fight Rorowa, they're going to be rearguard hating Redolina if they don't have stuff to just pop it naturally. So this is really good to just be able to be like, okay, play this, get my Redolina back, and a plant token that I can kill with Mamoke. Or a plant token that I can kill with my order that searches for the other Redolina. It basically, if we're being honest, is another 2 copies of Redolina in the deck. Because no Redolina, no go. That's just how the deck be. Next up is a card that apparently a lot of people do not run in Rorowa. I honestly think that post BT08, it's a stupid good card that you absolutely should be running. But whenever another one of your units attacks, if it's the 5th battle of the turn or more, aka when your grade 3 Redolina is going to be swinging, you can pop it a soul, countercharge. So you're getting more soul for next turn. And you're also countercharging. You don't counterblast a ton in this deck. You have 2 cards that counterblast, which is Redolina to make a Mamoke, and your order to go find a Redolina. So this only really matters if you're in a matchup where they're repeatedly just hitting your board. If they're repeatedly killing Mamoke and Redolina, you're going to have to keep spinning a counterblast to get your Mamoke back with Redolina, and you're going to have to either be lucky and have the Redolinas in hand, or if you get the order, spin counterblast for that. And if you end up locked out of having any CB, or if they try to damage deny you or something to prevent you from making a Mamoke next turn, like, it's just nice to be able to have this so that you can go ahead and prepare to have, like, leave a CB open so that it's a lot harder for them to do that. So I run that at 3, more soul fuel, always good. And then the CC is the only CC we have in the entire deck, to be honest. Next up, we're running 3 copies of another new card from BT08, Signpost Fairy. Signpost Fairy is just a free, stupid, ridiculous card for Rorowa because whenever you kill it, you pick one of your grade 1 or lower rearguards and it gets 10k power. That means whenever you pop this with Mamoke, Mamoke is getting 15. So you have like 2 plant tokens out, and you kill this and 2 plant tokens, your Mamoke is getting plus 25k, making him a 30k swing. So he swings for 30k, then Redolina swings for 40, and the other Redolina swings for 43. Like, this one card is disgusting. Like, it's so free, and I'm kind of amazed that it's a common. It is so good for this deck. It is unbelievable. Obviously, we're running 4 PGs. The one of them that is not SP is soon going to be replaced with the Order PG, because that thing is just free against certain bosses, and then can also help you not be immediately bonked by Guard Restrict. So that's always good. In terms of triggers, we're going to run 4 crit. I personally, you can run the soul crit. It has not come up that I've needed it. I just had the one in here in case. I considered like bumping it up, but I've had more instances where I've needed to like try to finish my opponent that turn, and the 5k base instead of the 4k base has mattered more. So I just preferred leaving it at this. I honestly might even take out the soul crit because we have so many good ways to get cards in soul that don't actually feel bad to use now, that it honestly just makes more sense. Then fronts. Your fronts are really important because they actually power up that front row that besides the Redolina, your other column is usually really little. So being able to do that, and then your Rorowa as well as your other 2 things in the front row getting bigger, makes it so much harder for your opponent to deal with your stuff. A lot of times they go for 2 to pass against your Vanguard, and whenever that happens, like, you're a deck that doesn't really care too much because you're honestly, any triggers you flip, you're going to hand the Mamoke so Mamoke can make 3 swings bigger. But with this front, you hit the front, 3 of your swings in the front row are now bigger, and now if the trigger after that is a 10k, or if the card after that is a trigger, you hand it to Rorowa and actually pass and hit them, and then you still have your 4 other swings, because Rorowa is always going to swing first. So honestly, I've won many games from fronts. Then draw triggers, just because they'll snag you your pieces. We only run 3, obviously, because overtrigger is the overtrigger. Obviously, it's the 10k one, because why would you run the other one if you only are running a few? But anytime you check it, power, Mamoke, 3 swings are going to be bigger than they already were. It's just nice. Obviously, the over. I actually would hear an argument for running the Cray over instead, because by all technicalities, if you hit the Cray over offensively on like your grade 3 turn, as long as your opponent's on grade 3, you give it to Mamoke. Mamoke and both Redolinas are all swinging for 100 million, and the other 100 million either goes to Vanguard if they OT'd to pass, or it goes to your rear guard if they like PG'd or no guard the Vanguard. And then you're just, that's 4 swings that they either PG or they get hit. So like I definitely see the argument for that. I personally really think that the extra draws and the heal and stuff can put you in just such a good game state. If you end up hitting it early or something like that to where it's not going to give you that bonus, that I think I'm fine with it, because you're still getting 300 million swings in the scenario that happens. So I really do not mind running this one instead. But I absolutely do not disagree with running the crit one if you prefer it. And obviously 4 heals. So this is just one of the 5 glitter decks that we originally got in set 5 that are very, very fun. They were okay when they came out, and then they're honestly, most of them are really good right now. I know Eva is one of the top in the game. Tamiya and Rorowa are really good sleeper rush decks. Chaos is trying his best, but he's fun. Thegria is honestly just a solid deck in general. I don't necessarily know where I would put it in terms of like how strong, but it honestly, like, this deck is so much fun. It has such good matchups against what's good right now. I'm currently participating in the CFA team league, basically is what it's called. I think it's the team circuit. And we had our first round yesterday, and I had my 3 matchups where I think Youthberg, Eva, and Overlord, and it performed like super well. I won against Eva and Youthberg. The Overlord matchup, it was really close, but we did end up losing that one. But like the matchups that it has against these decks that are super good right now just make it really, really easy to say that you should play this. On top of the fact that it's just such a fun deck that I could play it 500 times in a row and would not be bored. But that's going to be all for today. We're going to try to go ahead and get you guys a deck profile for every deck that either came out or was upgraded in set 8. So all 5 of the glitter bosses, Minerva, Lukier, Maelstrom, Arquette, and Shotodoji. We're going to try to go ahead and get you deck profiles for all of those within the next week or 2. We should be able to get all those out. This is just the first of many. I appreciate your guys' time, and I hope you all have a good one.